Welcome back to Everyday Ethics. We had the day off yesterday, but we're back today stronger than ever and ready for a great discussion about how to deal with people who disappoint. Before then, Joe, before we get to the discussion, please remember super chats, super stickers, very much appreciated. And also, 3:15 p.m. today, on a special day, we'll be doing crime, corrections, and culture. Before then, not before then. What the hell am I? Just because I had before then in my head already. Let me just turn it over to Persephone. I'm a little tired and out of sorts.
Please also don't forget to go and follow on Twitch. How was yesterday your
Oh,
day
it was
off?
one. I had a wonderful, wonderful. There's no capitalist corner Thursday or Friday. This is on today. Okay, it was a great day, but tiring. I didn't get back till after midnight, but I still woke up at a little after 5 this morning, so I'm, a little bit out. But it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed the debate. I thought that the guy arguing against Mamdani did a very good job making his case. I thought he won the debate. I shouldn't say he did a very good job. I think he made some really good points. I got to ask a question, as I always do, because I race to the mic, and anybody that gets in my way, hell hath no fury, like that. But and so I asked a question. She had referenced the concept of just price, that there's such a thing as a just price, and this goes back to Aristotle and was put forward by Thomas Aquinas, but the concept's been obliterated. So what I asked her was, in light of the marginal revolution in Austrian subjective value theory, how does the concept of just price even hold up? I didn't think, a very good job of answering the question, but I did talk to her after for a little while, and I'm hoping, she said she would, I'm hoping she'll come on The Rational Egoist to debate me about the subject. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. Get more people on.
Well, that's the
Um,
goal. Yeah, Persephone. That's
so you know,
I'm just saying.
my Michael, I fucked the people in line to ask his question. That's a good point. Did you? Did
No,
you
I
I
did
fuck the
not.
people?
No, I know. Maybe Mark would have. I did not.
Yeah. I'm
That's
gonna put
Mark.
that on I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
That is more Mark's jam than mine. A guy named John Ketchum debated Zephyr Teachout, and the proposition was, I'm not going to get it exactly, but in essence, Zoran Mandani will bring down the cost of living in New York City. And Professor Teachout took the affirmative, and John Ketchum took the negative. And I got to do a little arguing with Gene, and that's always fun. Gene, the director of the Soho Forum debates.
Yeah, you love to argue.
Yes, I do. And
Hello.
he's tons of fun. So
I just want to say hello to everybody who's saying hello in the chat. Before we get to your topic, we have a question from Akira. There's a
yeah.
question from Mr. Deagle as well, but it involves watching a video. So I'm going to
Well,
suggest
ask it anyway. Maybe I can do it. But go with Kira's first.
Okay, so Akira says the news of the Israeli soldier getting arrested for destroying a Jesus statue kind of changed my mind about Israel. After having spent last episode of the Capitalist Corner defending Israel's impossible position in regards to the war, I no longer think Israel is a beacon of freedom in the Middle East or that they're even fighting for freedom. The fact that they don't have freedom of speech to such an extent that a soldier, which mind you most likely was forced into military conscription, gets arrested for such a ridiculous thing makes it clear that while Israel is better than the theocratic dictatorships that surround it, it's far from good and definitely not a free country. I've long had criticism of Israel for having a draft and being a semi free country, and I think that James's argument about America being the most moral country during the same time that it had a draft is quite good. However, Israel is not America. Israel is not even pretending to move towards freedom. I think defending the status quo is what pushes people into supporting Trump, the war, and disregard for everything they once stood for. Am I dropping context? Am I being a rationalist? Am I being an ass? I ask because I think a lot of the people using a different standard for Israel essentially turn a blind eye to its problems and it leads them to be okay with moving towards that type of government, one without a constitution and free stuff like socialized healthcare in place of basic freedoms like freedom of speech.
Woo! A lot there. A lot there. So, Akira, fundamentally, I would say you have to be true to your own mind. And it gets difficult when you are involved in movements, for lack of a better word, objectivist movement, libertarian movement, whatever. For a few reasons. I mean, there is the social pressure to not argue with them. That's there. But there's also and I think it's natural that this comes up. If all of them think this, maybe I'm missing something. But if you're concluding something, then you have to be true to yourself before anything else. My personal position on the topic, I've stated it before. I think that a lot of people overstate Israel's propensity to be a free country. But on the other hand, you don't want to go so far that you start equating them with the countries that surround them. So you just I think you just have to always keep your mind focused on the reality of the situation. There are no perfect countries. That's true. Israel is, especially in the region. I mean, Israel's the best. They are our ally. That's true. But no, they're not a classical liberal beacon. They're not a beacon of rationality or a beacon of liberty. And that's just the fact. Now, you say that, and you might get ostracized by some of the people in your community. But if people are going to ostracize you for drawing a different conclusion than them, then screw them. Ultimately, right? I mean, my commitment is to what is true, not to what people claim to be true. Especially when a lot of the times the arguments that they make are held up by a house of cards, and once you hit the root of it, you see that it's not that strong. And I don't, what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know why. I get defending Israel. Okay, I can understand that. But defending Israel to the extent that where somebody tells me how, hypothetically, give a hypothetical. How can you be friends with somebody who doesn't support Israel? Or that guy's evil because he doesn't support Israel. When you're coming to those types of conclusions, I think you're in error. I hope I answered your question, Akira. If not, you can, ask again, and that's fine.
Okay, so I have a thought that's related to something that you said, not necessarily to Akira's question. But Mr. Deagle says they're virtue signaling to Christians.
Uh,
I don't think so.
I don't know the story, so it's hard for me to.
Um, an Israeli soldier destroyed a statue, not a statue. It was like Jesus on the cross.
Yeah.
And he kicked it over. He hit it with a sledgehammer or something. He destroyed it basically. And obviously, this got passed around the internet, and everyone was going, "Look, Israel's all scumbags." And
Well, that's dumb.
yeah, obviously. So they put the statue back up, and I think the soldier got disciplined. I don't know. I think so. Whatever his reasons for doing it, I don't think that they are virtue signaling. I think that they're just. I think virtue signaling has very specific connotations, and I don't think that that's what they were doing.
Whose statue was it?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to find the actual story. The thing that I wanted to say was, good. I'm so good at focusing. Okay, so Israel. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Let's open this. CNN. Jesus statue vandalized by Israeli soldiers. A statue of Jesus Christ in a village in southern Lebanon after a soldier was pictured taking what appears to be a hammer or an axe. Israel apologized and placed two soldiers in detention after the image caused outrage in Christian communities in Lebanon and across the world. Another six soldiers have been questioned over the internet, which Netanyahu called wholly inconsistent with the values expected of the IDF.
So, yeah, it's not indicative of the entire Israeli population, but I tend to think, I don't know, if you're going into another country and you're at war or whatever, I mean, what's the point of doing that? Like, it's not your statue. I don't I don't mind that they discipline the soldier for that. Now, given what you just said to me, though, there might be, I don't know, is he shooting and it hits the thing on by mistake? I don't know. But what was the point of destroying the statue? I mean, I ultimately would need more information to really get a solid view on it. But it seems to me that if you are just destroying a statue for fun, or because you're angry or some other thing, I don't mind them disciplining them. I do wonder, though. I mean, if it was a statue of me and they destroyed it, would they have gotten in trouble for that? Or if it's a statue of a Buddha or whatever. I mean, if it's just because it's Christianity, I mean, there's a lot there that I don't know about, Akira. But again, you have to be true to your own mind. I'm taking it you want me to put this up?
I do, just so that you have the context of what we're looking at.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but that's still not giving me the context.
No, no, but I just mean so that you know, like, what he
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Why he did it, who knows?
That looks. What's the word I'm looking for? Persephone. When
On
you do.
purpose?
No, 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 no. When you do something overboard, gratuitous.
Overkill.
It's like gratuitous. Like, what's the point of this?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of my thinking as well. I don't mind that I do think that he should have been disciplined
Yeah.
because not because it was a statue of Jesus, but because it's in a village that they're occupying and they're destroying shit for no reason. I would have felt the same way if it was a house or a wall or a well. It
A
doesn't matter what
wool.
it is.
What if it was a wool?
A wall. I don't think that you should be going into villages that you're occupying and destroying shit
You can.
just because you can. Yeah. The fact that it's a statue of Jesus is neither here nor there. Um, so the thing that I wanted to say was it's something that I've been noticing more and more recently, where it's almost like there is no middle ground anymore. There is no middle ground in anything. People are either like completely for something and then those people can do no wrong, right? Israel is great and therefore nothing they do is wrong, or Israel is garbage scumbags, the lot of them. Same way with Gaza, Gaza is totally innocent. They've done nothing wrong. Or Gaza deserves to be nuked. Like it's like very difficult for people to find a middle ground. And I don't know if it's because being on the internet encourages you to have these very, very strong one way opinions or what it is. It's just the very worrying trend that I've noticed.
I'm so tired.
Mm.
Okay. Um,
Talk talk
Can you
about
can you
who
see how
disappointed
my
you.
hair is growing? I look at my hair and it's like I got colics. It grows all over the place. Nobody disappointed me, but somebody mentioned to me that he's becoming disappointed in people in general. And I do want to talk about that, but now we're down to 15 minutes because I do have a hard out at 3 and then a hard out after the next show. So I am wondering what was Mr. Deagle's question.
So, Mr. Deagle sent a video from Garrett Mayer that is called Faith, Reason, and Integrity. And the question that he asked was, if you guys have time, could you watch this video on faith and explain what would be your response to this definition of faith? The commenter that he's talking about in the video is Mr. Deagle.
Okay, so Mr. Deagle's. Okay, so we do have to watch the video. Okay, so the disappointment thing, and what people, this is another one of those things that can be difficult to assess. Are people disappointing me because they are not living up to a reasonable standard, or is it that my expectations of people are too high? Right? Do I expect people to cater to me? Do I expect people to never be angry or never to be irritable? Do I expect people to forgive my, misbehaviors, but I don't want to forgive theirs? And I don't know, the specific guy, that's all he said to me was that he's becoming more and more disappointed. So I don't know the context that he's writing in. But I think that it's very imperative for living ethically that we be judicious in our assessments of people, that we not hold people to unrealistic standards, that we not expect more from them than what is reasonable. Now, of course, you may say, well, where's the line? And I don't. Because you're not going to identify, and when things are on a continuum normally, you are not going to identify the specific line or the specific point along the continuum where you say, oh, wow, I was poor yesterday, but now I've earned X amount of dollars and I'm no longer poor, unless it's a considerable amount. So if somebody tells you, for instance, that they're going to give you a ride, let's say Persephone says, I'll pick you up at 3:15 and I'll take you to the store. And I say, okay. Persephone on the way here gets a flat tire. To be mad at Persephone over not showing up on time when it was of no fault of her own would be ridiculous. Now, suppose Persephone's on the way over here and she sees a guy she thinks is hot, and she decides she's going to get a little flirtatious with this guy. And she decides she's going to be there talking to him for 35, 40 minutes. She's giggling it up, batting her eyes at him, the whole nine. Now I'm pissed. Now those, in that example that I'm giving, it's obvious, and sometimes it's not. My tendency is to try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Unless it's really clear. I mean, if it's really clear, it's really clear. But I think, a lot of people will be, what's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of people will disappoint. That doesn't mean that all people are going to let you down fundamentally or in a big way. So what do you think? And account for yourself, too, flirting with this guy. You're married, for God's sake.
I know. How dare I? So Mr. Deagle says you should have low expectations. So if they are bad, you don't get disappointed. If they're good, you get surprised. No,
I
that's a
disagree with
shit.
that a
That's a
lot.
shit way to live. That's
Well, you don't have
so.
to be so mean. Jeez.
I don't think that that is a healthy way to look at things, because you say that if they're bad, you don't get disappointed, but that's not true, because no matter how low your expectations are, if something bad happens, you are still going to be disappointed. And if you ever get to a point in your life where bad shit happens and it doesn't affect you and it doesn't make you feel anything, then that's a problem, because that information, being upset, being disappointed, that's information that you need in order to improve your life or to move in the right direction. And if you're blocking all of that out and you're going, well, I'm not going to let anything affect me, not good, not bad, and you get to a point where you feel nothing when something bad happens, then why even continue to live at that point?
Yeah, I would think that to just, because either if you're just deliberately setting low expectations, it's still an anti-real perspective, right? You're not making an objective assessment. You're deliberately lowballing your expectations. I prefer to adhere to reality and what the reality is. And yeah, I think trust but verify when you're making friends. Um, you don't just all of a sudden trust somebody with everything. That doesn't mean you can't trust them to get you a Coke, or get you. No, I
Yeah.
don't want. Never mind. But I was gonna say get you some Coke, but I don't do Coke. I never really liked it. Even when I did it when I was younger, I didn't care for it. But that's neither here nor there. It makes me paranoid. But anyhow, so no, I don't think that's a good strategy. I think that the best strategy is to trust but verify, cultivate friendships with dependable people, don't hold people to unrealistic standards, and expect that even though you do your best, you will occasionally be let down by people, and then you have to decide based on the entire context how to judge that situation.
I have a question for you.
How
If
do
you
I
had
how
to
do I maintain my boyish good looks at 50 years old?
that is the question that I was going to ask. Did you shave?
Yeah, I just trimmed I shaved over here and I trimmed this down. That's all.
You just need to grow like a proper
Don't trim it
goatee.
down.
No.
Yeah, I did. You got
So
to
here's
trim
what
it.
here's
You don't just let this thing go whoom.
my
You
husband has
do. You
my
just let this
husband
thing
has
go
a
sick.
my husband has a beard like a Viking. My husband's one of those like full beards, sides of the head shaved, like long on top people.
Okay, so
Um,
Salem is a menace, is what you're telling us.
yeah, essentially, he's the kind of person where if you see him on the street, you're like, ah, cross over to the other side of the road. This person might. That's mean. That's not true.
Are
He
you
does
telling
not
me
look.
that I've lost my boyish good looks because I shaved? Is that what you're implying?
I think that you look better with a little bit of scruff. I'm
Well,
trying to ask a. I'm trying to ask a question, and you're
okay.
getting
Well, get to
distracted.
it. No, you're distracting the whole show. You're running away. Go.
Okay, so my question is, if you had to choose between being an optimist or a pessimist, which he's not. If you had to choose between being like an optimist and having super high expectations all the time and being a pessimist and having super low expectations all the time, which would you rather be?
Have you ever seen the movie Mobsters?
No.
In the movie Mobsters, Lucky Luciano is a young man and he meets Arnold Rothstein. Arnold Rothstein is the guy who fixed the 1919 World Series. Very smart gangster guy. Ended up getting killed, but either way. So he's testing um, Charlie's intelligence. Charlie Luciano, Lucky Luciano. He says to him, "You're walking down the street. You look ahead of you. You see that there's a gunman coming at you to kill you. You turn around, you notice there's a second gunman." He says, "Which one do you kill? You only have time to kill one. Which one do you shoot?" Charlie says to him, "I reject the question. To live, I got to kill both of them." So you just asked me a question. Which detached from reality position would I choose? I would choose
Hmm.
neither, ever. Like that, I'm not, just because it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't function that way. My thinking doesn't function that way. I want to be realistic. I think that life affords us plenty of reason to be optimistic. Things generally work out. Things very rarely are as bad as we expect them to be. Sometimes they are. But I think that if I'm being a realistic person, I'm seeing that usually I'm going to be okay. Until, of course, I'm dead. But I'm not going to know
Hmm.
about that anyway. So I don't really care. I care. I don't want to die, but once I'm dead, I'm not going to give a shit, right? So things are going to work out.
So you tend towards more optimistic.
I think it's a realistic optimism,
Yes.
not what's the word I'm looking for here? Pollyanna.
Blind optimism.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not Dr. Pangloss.
Mr. Deagle,
Pangloss, whatever it is.
Mr. Deagle, I live in South Africa. Um, 88% of the country is black.
Wait, what do you mean, Mr. Deagle? You.
Uh,
I
yeah,
can't even believe this. So, Mr. Deagle, if you see a black guy, you cross the street. Like what?
yeah, no. And you just be like ping ponging back and forth if you had to do that in South Africa. I don't know why you would anyway. No, my husband he looks like a scary dude. I don't know how else to phrase that.
Mr.
Big
Deagle's
beard,
trying to get
angry.
out of this now by saying it's a
Yeah.
joke. Well, all right.
Yeah, I mean, my friend is one of those people who sort of has a very similar thing to what Mr. Deagle said, whereas like keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. And I find that, she tends to overall be a much unhappier person, um, just in general, because she's always kind of expecting something bad to happen. She's always expecting something negative, and it's really it doesn't seem like a fun way to live, to always be expecting something bad and to always be expecting situations to work out negatively and for things to go opposite to your favor. Whereas for me, I expect things most of the time to work out in my favor. There's times when, I look at it and I go, not so sure about this one. Um, but for the most part, I tend to be quite optimistic, and I'm disappointed. But because we're very close friends and we in business together, our disappointments tend to be about the same things. We've lost a client, we didn't sign someone that we wanted to, and me, who's very optimistic, and her, who's very pessimistic, we experience exactly the same level of disappointment. But I went into it hopeful and didn't sort of preempt the disappointment. So I was kind of just fine, whereas she is biting her nails the whole time, thinking that she's going to be disappointed. So she's miserable, 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 and then even more miserable, whereas I'm like, fine, fine, fine. Eh.
Do you actually go eh at the end?
Yeah, I do. I make that sound effect in real life whenever there's a disappointment. If I get a mail that I don't like, I'm like, eh.
If you get a mail that you don't like?
Have you never gotten an email that you don't like? I got an
I've
email from
gotten
some.
plenty of emails. I've never gotten a mail. I know.
That's what they're
Okay.
called. That they're
Okay.
called mails.
They're
They're
called
electronic.
emails.
They're called
Electronic mails.
electronic mails.
Yes, yes. But when I don't know, when I get mail and I just say mail, I don't say a mail. Okay, we're basically out of time here, so I want to give everybody the heads up. Please tune in 17 minutes from now on this very channel, The Rational Alternative. The show is going to be Crime, Corrections, and Culture. It's going to be the last episode we do dealing with my book that I co-authored, Down the Rabbit Hole, How the Culture, Corrections, Encourages Crime. You're going to get when you watch that show, you are getting the unvarnished truth about corrections. No hyperbole, nothing. So please tune in. I think you're going to like it. Persephone, tell them what else they need to do before we go.
Today on Crime Culture and Crime Corrections and Culture is the question episode. So if you've had any questions, please bring them today. Please also go and follow us on Twitch. Find all of the shows on Spotify. Go to patreon.com/everydayethics and you can see the reviews and articles that were written about Down the Rabbit Hole, which I did post because I had the day off yesterday.
Awesome.
Um, and that's it.
All right,
See you
folks.
in 15 minutes.
Yes, we will. Be
Bye.
ethical.